Hello, my fellow home cooks. Welcome to Homemade with Lucy. Today's episode, we're going to talk about how to make Lumpiang Shanghai. I was born and raised in the Philippines, so Lumpiang Shanghai is a classic staple dish. And I've learned how to do it the easiest and quickest way possible. Let me show you how. So for this recipe, you're going to need some ground pork, some carrots, green onions or any onions that you may have on hand, some water chestnut, eggs, and garlic. We're also going to need some salt, pepper, and some sesame oil. So you're going to peel the carrots, roughly chop it, because we're going to throw this into the food processor once we're done. Here you're going to take the can of water chestnut. This one is the sliced one. You can buy them whole as well. They're typically packed in water. You don't have to chop this up. You don't have to do anything because we're going to throw that in with the carrots and a food processor, as you'll see later on in the video. Here I'm just chopping up some green onions. You can also use yellow, white onions or even red onions. I just like the flavor of green onions a little bit better just because they're a little bit milder. So I like to use green onions most of the time, but again, you can use whatever you have on hand. So gonna need some eggs, 2 to 3 eggs will do. You're gonna have one separated to use as a glue later on when you're rolling up the lumpias. In a food processor, you're going to combine the carrots, water chestnut, and the garlic until finely chopped. And I'm doing this in 2 batches just because I have a small food processor. Again, you can do this by hand as well. It's no problem. Once you have all the ingredients ready to go, we're just gonna mix it all up. So I'm adding the chopped carrots, water chestnut, and garlic mixture that we had earlier. Some of the green onions. Just beat the eggs a little bit with the fork before you add it in. And now I'm seasoning it with some salt and pepper. Guys, try not to skip this part. I'm adding sesame oil, just about a tablespoon or so. This gives it such a nice flavor to the dish. And mix until combined. Now we're ready to roll the lumpias. Here I'm using a piping bag. You can also use a Ziploc bag to do this. So I like to use this, and I'm putting it over a cup so that it's easier to fill it with the meat mixture. Here I'm just beating up 1 more egg with just a little bit of water. This will be your egg wash that you're going to use as a glue when you're forming the lumpias. So just take 1 sheet of lumpia wrapper at a time. You're gonna pipe the meat mixture at the very edge, just like you see here. You're going to just roll it all the way at the end. A little bit of egg wash. And you are done. I'm transferring this into a baking sheet because you're gonna need to freeze this so that you can cut them up later on, and I'll show you that as well. Once you have enough lumpias rolled, I'm not gonna do the entire mixture. For tonight, I only need a few. So the rest, you can easily just freeze it in a Ziploc bag and it will last you months in the freezer. Here, as you can see, I'm putting the lumpias in the deep freezer. You want to freeze it just before it gets too hard, probably about an hour or so. This will help ensure cutting it and you'll get nice fine cuts and pieces of lumpia. And we're ready to fry. Here I'm just testing out the oil just a little bit. If you don't have a thermometer, it's fine. Just do that method where you kind of use one lumpia just to check to make sure that the oil is hot. It should be at about medium heat, 320 degrees. Make sure that you're not overcrowding the pan, and you're going to try to turn it a little bit here and there just to ensure that they're not sticking together. And here I'm just checking to make sure that it's reaching that nice golden brown, which it hasn't reached yet, but should be soon. And again, make sure that if you are going to freeze these before you cook them, make sure that you don't thaw them out. And looks like we're almost there. You want that nice golden brown color. Just, you know, want to remind you that this is raw pork, so you do want to try to cook inside out. And those are done. And let it cool off because it's going to be piping hot. And I'm just transferring it into a pan lined with paper towels. Here is the finished product. You can serve this with sweet and sour sauce or chili vinegar, whichever one you prefer. And here comes my boys to do the taste test.
Oh. Wow, hot. Yeah, these are good.